Welcome to the Chairman's Perspective podcast.
Welcome to Chairman's Perspective. I'm Mark Billingsley, Chairman of the Shelby County Board of Commissioners, and today we're with my good friend Dorcas Young Griffin, Director of Community Services for Shelby County Government. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you today?
I'm doing well. I know you are now working 7 days a week, about 24 hours a day, as Director of Community Services for Shelby County Government. Typically, your job is working through many issues of poverty, through education, resources, programs to help the disadvantaged of Shelby County become more independent and more self-sustaining. Now we're in the midst of the coronavirus, Director. How has your position changed with this new healthcare epidemic? I know you're typically challenged. We talk about it on a weekly basis, but now what is this like 24/7?
Thank you for having me, first of all.
Absolutely.
I appreciate the opportunity to talk about what's happening in Shelby County. When you ask what is the difference, I think the difference now is just scale, the scale of need. The truth of the matter is that people have always needed many of the things that we provide: utility assistance, rental assistance, support for being exposed to trauma, services for seniors. I think what we see now is the scale of need has changed in a way that we weren't necessarily preparing for. So I've heard old folks say this before in churches, like, things are happening that have never happened before. Well, people are coming to be served that have never even thought about getting help for a utility bill or getting a food basket, because of the widespread catastrophic economic impact that this disease has taken already. I think one of the things that we recognize too, even though we're working hard right now, like, we're just at the beginning phases of what is to come. Many people, if they've been laid off, it's been about 2 or 3 weeks. But when we get further down the road, that is when we're going to see more and more people feeling the effects of what has happened economically in this crisis. And so I think it's the scale.
Well, Dorcas, on a day-to-day basis in Shelby County, you are working on rent and mortgage assistance, medical prescription programs, utility assistance, because you're already doing the heavy lifting in Shelby County for a lot of people that are underserved or disadvantaged. Do you feel like the same populations have been heavy hit by the coronavirus? I've read, and the data we're seeing from Dr. Haushalter, our director of the health department, again, we're seeing a high prevalence of African Americans. We're seeing a high prevalence of people that have at least 2 comorbidities. And as you and I both know, we're in an area of the South where a lot of people have high blood pressure, asthma, heart disease. Have you seen some of the people who you typically see that are challenged already?
Absolutely. So I think we can talk about this COVID crisis in 2 ways. We can talk about the medical implications of it and the economic implications of it. I think what you are seeing now here locally and nationally is people who have been disproportionately impacted and affected by some of those adverse social determinants of health are being affected in a higher proportion here now. So if you already were struggling through poverty, through, racism, through no access to health care, things can only get worse if there's a disaster like this that presents itself. So yes, we're seeing the same people that are affected every day are being hit the hardest here. And we see evidence of that.
Director Griffin, the Community Services Division, our health department, our first line responders have done an amazing job. I want to thank you and thank all of your staff. Let's talk about if there is some positive or light in the midst of this. your department in community services has been providing a lot of additional support. Let's talk about some real opportunities for people. And even if you're listening to this right now and you don't necessarily need help, but you do know someone who does need help, let's share with our listeners. Let's start with the basics. The ability to get food. I've seen some amazing partners that you're working with. Tell everybody who those partners are and how they can get access to food.
The first point that I would stop at is the Mid-South Food Bank. The Mid-South Food Bank, they are doing ministry right now. There are so many people who are impacted right now just needing the basic necessity of food. And the Mid-South Food Bank has stepped up along with its many, many partners here in the community. If you go to the Mid-South Food Bank's website, midsouthfoodbank.org, you can type in your zip code and find out where a different mobile pantry will be every day of the week. So you can find a place that's close to you and be able to sign up to be able to get food. We've all heard about the Shelby County schools and some of the other municipal school districts that are working to feed students each and every day. And so you can go to their websites and find out where those feedings are happening. What I have been most impressed with is just the willingness of restaurants, community-based organizations to step up and desire to feed people. There are restaurants. I saw something yesterday and it made my heart just brim with joy. Kelly English.
Oh, what a great guy.
Oh gosh. I thought I loved Second Line. I love it even more. You know, yesterday was Easter, and in addition to trying to make sure that restaurant workers have some relief, he had meals just out for people that may need them, just sitting out, just people can come and get a meal. And so you see those pop-ups happening everywhere across the community. And so I just encourage people to look at the Mid-South Food Bank's website, to check out the school's websites, but also to keep their eyes and ears open for opportunities that places like Restaurant Iris and Second Line are providing. You can make donations to them to help them keep feeding people.
Well, Director Young, at the beginning of the show, you talked about persons who've never dealt with unemployment issues before. I met someone the other day who had been laid off. They've had a job since they were 15 years old. They've never not been without a job. Right. And they, quite frankly, were very confused because they've never needed a service before. For the Mid-South Food Bank that we just talked about, to my knowledge, the only thing you really have to show is proof of residency. Because the Mid-South Food Bank not only is providing food right here in Shelby County, but I saw listed even today that there's locations in Mississippi where people can go get food. But again, Director Griffin, the only thing they really need is a proof of residency. Right.
In these days and times, you know, we recognize that people may not have access to certain paperwork that we would typically ask for. Right. And so I think they're asking to make sure that you are a resident of this area. But, you know, they're there to help who needs the help. So I just encourage people, don't be shy. Go and get what you need because people are here and want to help.
If you just tuned in, you're listening to the Chairman's Perspective. I'm with Director Dorcas Griffin Young. Dorcas Young Griffin, excuse me. We've been friends too long. I always mess the names up. Dorcas Young Griffin, who's our Director of Community Services for Shelby County Government. We've talked about the ability to get food assistance, but if you potentially lose your job, there's a lot of other things that you haven't had to deal with before. Your department also helps with rent and mortgage assistance. I know that's limited, but there are opportunities. How do individuals understand, or where do they go to get those services?
So the first place that I would point them to, and I always have to make sure we have so many phone numbers because we do so many things. Sure. The first place I would tell them to stop is to call our community services agency line. And that number is 222-4212. And there you can get information about our utility assistance and our rent and mortgage assistance. What I will tell you is that both of those are based on your income. So you have to be at a certain income level to be able to tap into that money. But if you've recently lost a job within the last 30 days, you're going to be eligible. And so folks need to definitely not fear that they wouldn't be eligible because maybe they had a job where they were making $50,000 or $60,000 a month and a half ago. If you've lost that job, you would be eligible for these services. And so one of the things that people have said to me is, hey, well, MLGW has a moratorium. They're not cutting off lights right now, but that bill is still accruing.
Right.
And so it doesn't matter that there's not a cutoff today. We can help you get settled so that you won't have a cutoff after the moratorium is over. The same thing goes for our rent and mortgage assistance. There may be landlords or mortgage companies that have said, hey, you don't have to pay this month, but those bills are coming. And so in order to make sure that you are prepared, go ahead and call us. Go ahead and sign up so that we can try to get you help today.
It seems like there's a number of companies that are reaching out. A lot of people are unemployed. I think today I saw that in Shelby County, we have 15,000 people that have newly filed a claim for unemployment. Those numbers are staggering for Shelby County, when prior to this, I think unemployment was less than 3%. If you really desired a job, you could find a job. You know, right now it's difficult for seniors and a lot of people to be able to get their prescription drugs. Is there any advice for people, especially for those people? I've thought about it so many times, Director Griffin, the last couple of days, about those people that are in wheelchairs, about those people that may be a senior citizen and don't have access necessarily to, you know, you and I have a nice family, a lot of people that can help us if we needed help. But boy, we have a lot of people out there in Shelby County that don't have a loved one or a next door neighbor that cares about them. In terms of prescriptions and drugs that people might need, are there any advice you might give in that area?
So one of the programs that we have is our prescription assistance program. We talk a lot about the utility assistance program and about the rent and mortgage program, but our CSA department actually provides prescription assistance for folks as well. You can receive up to $1,000 towards your prescriptions. And so I encourage folks, again, to use that number 222-4212 to get more information about that program. Another asset that we have is our Aging Commission of the Mid-South. You mentioned seniors and maybe those folks who may be living with disabilities. Well, our Aging Commission is still fully functional. Like our folks, we may be serving people differently, but we are still serving folks. And so I would encourage anyone who has any type of service or need for a senior to call our Aging Commission information and assistance line. And that number is 222-4211. No, I did not say that right. 4111. 222-4111. Yes. So many numbers, I told you. But someone can get information about services that they need and get pointed in the right direction by calling our information and assistance line.
Director Griffin, you and I talk a lot about the challenges that we have across Shelby County all the time, even when there isn't a healthcare crisis like we're seeing today that's unprecedented. For all of us, it's stressful, you know, working out of our homes. You've got children that are typically in school that are now at home. Mom or dad might be home with them. A grandmother might be with them. And of course, in our community, we have issues of domestic violence. We have issues of rape and other issues that also your department deals with. Any counsel that you might give to people who are listening, or a family member that knows that their sister or a loved one might be in a very dangerous situation right now? And again, typically people have opportunity to get out of the house, go to work, maybe get out of that difficult situation. Any thoughts on those issues?
Absolutely. So I don't have the stats in front of me, but I think that, a lot of us expect that the longer that we're indoors and safer at home, we recognize that everyone is not safe at home. And so there will and may be cases where people, where you see some increased tensions in the home, and we are still here to serve folks through that. Our folks who are experiencing domestic violence, we absolutely are encouraging them to call our Family Safety Center. The Family Safety Center continues to operate. It continues to help people get situated. We are continuing to get orders of protection filed through our Crime Victims and Rape Crisis Center. We are continuing to do forensic exams for victims of sexual assault to ensure that evidence can be sent to law enforcement and we can work to find justice for folks who may be sexually assaulted during this time. So again, even though a lot of our work has gone to remote and telework, there are still services where we are still on site and understand that we have to be to serve folks. Shelters like the YWCA, they continue to have women and families that are there that are victims of domestic violence, and they won't close. They have to be open. And we do everything we can to support them to continue to be open, because we know that the coronavirus does not mean that some of our other issues just go away.
But yeah, I think it's exacerbated some issues, especially being cooped up in the four walls of your home. And we've heard that over and over and over. But again, we're talking with Dorcas Young Griffin. She's the Director of Community Services for Shelby County Government. You're listening to the Chairman's Perspective, and I'm Mark Billingsley, Chairman of the Shelby County Board of Commissioners. You've covered a whole range of topics relative to the coronavirus. But again, I know you've got a lot to share today. We've talked about some of the other issues that are happening now as it relates to domestic violence and other things that unfortunately don't stop in the midst of a health epidemic. Sometimes it gets worse. Right. What are some other things you'd like to share with the listeners today?
I just appreciate the opportunity just to share with people that help is here. We recognize that people, again, are in situations that they may have never seen or faced. But that's okay. We are here to be supportive to folks. And so just being able to say that, I think, has been helpful for all of us. I do think that one thing that we haven't talked about is veteran services. We're continuing to serve our veterans. Again, we're not doing face-to-face visits, but we're still processing claims and helping people get connected to the benefits that they have earned. We thank the County Commission. You all actually provided for an additional support in our Veteran Services Office very recently, and that is increasing our ability to be able to serve even more veterans during this time. Another thing that we're doing, we're continuing to do some of our mental health supports that we do through the jail. So we work with Judge Gerald Skane, and he runs the mental health court, and we have staff that actually staffs that court. Well, they're continuing to work with folks who may be out of jail, been released from jail, but still need to be connected to all of those services and treatment that will keep them healthy and able to thrive even during these difficult times. So we have staff that are continuing to do that work. And of course, we are always doing work around our jail. So we operate pretrial services, and we still have staff that are, monitoring folks through county probation and just trying to keep people on track, even during this time that the courts are closed. So lots and lots of work is still going on. Folks, I just encourage folks to check out our website and to look at all of the services that we provide. The other thing that we are really trying to be thoughtful about is promoting other folks' services. There are so many folks, so many partners that are doing great work. And so if you check out our website, you will see a list of all of the work of partners all across the community as well.
Director Griffin, I agree with you. And to your point about partners, if you just one of the ones you mentioned, Mid-South Food Bank, you can go on there on a daily basis and really see for the whole week where they'll be providing food services, but also at your website underneath Shelby County Government, and then click on Community Services. There are a host of organizations that are working night and day. You know, Memphis is blessed with so many nonprofit organizations that I've spent my career in, quite frankly, that are trying to lift people up during normal times.
Right.
But these are uncertain times, of course. But certainly the Division of Community Services that you lead makes a difference in the lives of people each and every day. But this has really been a challenge for all of us. One thing I would mention to the listeners is we do have 13 county commissioners. They're spread out throughout the county that represent different municipalities. But I think most of the 13 commissioners believe that they represent all the citizens of Shelby County. We have over 900,000 constituents in Shelby County, and our number is 901-222-1000. Again, if you want to talk to your Shelby County Commissioner, it's 901-222-1000. You just have to share your name and address, and we'll connect you with your county commissioner. Just like Director Griffin's office, we can connect you, and you can see our number there on the screen, 222-1000. We can connect you with a whole host of services. If we could reference you over to community services, but there may be another community partner that can help you depending on what your need is. Director Griffin, this is really an unprecedented time. I know you come from a family of faith leaders. Your mom and dad have been pastors and are people of great faith. And I know those things mean a lot to you. As a person of faith, let me just ask you, what advice and counsel do you to give to the listeners? Because you've been in that realm. You understand challenges. Do you mind sharing?
Absolutely not. I think so. As a person of faith and just a woman of humanity, I think during times like these, what is most important is to just lean in and lean on each other. The greatest gift that we have been given is one another. And I think, in normal times when we're in our normal rhythm, I think sometimes we take each other for granted, and we take for granted the power and just the love and just all the things that others possess that we need. We need it all the time, but right now it's even more important. And so, it's been great for me just to get through the difficult days, just to recognize that I'm not alone. My team, we have a call every day, and I'm sure they're like, well, why do we have to talk every day? Every day we need to check in and check on each other because it matters during these times. And so I just encourage people, even though we're isolated in our homes, don't get isolated from our networks. There are ways that you can be connected to others, and make sure that you're doing that. And then the other thing I would say, my faith just tells me that I can't do it all. So I just, there's something, if I believe in something bigger than me, which a lot of us do, then I recognize that I'm not in control anyway. So sit back, try to do the best I can, serve and love others, knowing it's going to be all right.
Director Griffin wrote a great message. I think more than anything, what I'm going to get out of this, I'm going to get a lot of things out of this, but I think the simple things are going to be much more appreciated.
Right.
I think we took for granted for a long time our ability to get together with friends and family, and even our coworkers, our ability to go to work, our ability to talk with our friends and our family and our coworkers, to sit around a table together. Right. And I think a lot like September 11th, we changed as a country, we changed as a world after 9/11. And I think after the coronavirus, we'll change again. And hopefully one of the things that'll change is we'll really value the simple things.
Right.
Poverty has had such a grip on our community, and this virus has really devastated all of us, especially our young children. You and I believe the same thing, and I think a better day is ahead, and all of us sticking together and working together is so important.
It's so important. It's what we got. It's what we got to work with. It's each other. And so I look forward to coming out on top of this. And I look forward to finding, I will say one thing, I didn't say this before. So we've been forced to learn how to work in a very different way. And some of those ways are not bad ways. They
Absolutely.
have forced us to be more creative in making sure that people have access to services. The other thing that it has done is made us more compassionate to each other. Because even in this work, even when you're working for the public each and every day, sometimes you can just get kind of stuck in a rut and you lose some of that empathy that you need and compassion. And this has triggered a new level of empathy, compassion, willingness to work and coordinate with each other in a way that it will be meaningful if we stick to it after this is over.
I agree with you, Director Griffin. Again, I want to thank you for everything you do and what your staff does at the Community Services Department of Shelby County Government. You've long been a leader, but certainly we have seen amazing leaders rise up out of this crisis, and you're certainly one of those people who continue to lead 24/7, and especially lifting up those people that can't necessarily lift themselves up. So I want to thank you for that. And again, Director Griffin, will you just remind people one more time, if they need to get in touch with Community Services, what's the main number they should reach out to?
So the main number you want to call is 222-3990. That's our main line, and that will get you, we can direct you to any department that you need, whether that's the folks with utility assistance, whether that's services for seniors, crime victim services, some of those mental health supports that I mentioned, veteran services. We can make sure that you get directed there. I would encourage everyone to check out the website, go to the Shelby County TN.gov website and go to the Division of Community Services. And we have detailed information and direct phone numbers for every service that you could need.
Well, again, on behalf of the Chairman's Perspective, I'm Chairman Mark Billingsley, the leader of the Shelby County Board of Commissioners. On behalf of our 13 outstanding Shelby County Commissioners, we wish you a very happy and healthy week. We'll be back with more guests to deal with the coronavirus. And again, very special thanks today to Dorcas Young Griffin, our Director of Community Services. We'll see you next time on the Chairman's Perspective.
The Chairman's Perspective Podcast. Executive producer, Shelby County Commission's Chairman, Mark Billingsley. Directed, produced, recorded, and distributed by KUDZUKIAN.